Danny High Soccer with Colleen, helping people do their business better. And we are back with Brian Dunat, a Neat product specialist, to talk about or get an actual Neat Pulse demo. So Brian, take it away.
Awesome. Well, Danny, thank you so much for having us back. I think there's been a lot of interest in Neat Pulse since we announced it at ISE. Obviously, a lot of interest from the last video we threw together. So what I want to do real quick today is we're just going to do a real quick Neat Pulse deep dive, give you a little glimpse into what you're looking for. And if this generates some interest, you know how to get a hold of Danny and his team, and then they'll certainly get us engaged to do a deeper dive demo. So without further ado, let me share my screen real quick. I'm going to pop this up and I'm going to show you Neat Pulse. So right out of the get-go, pretty exciting. We're going to support Google single sign-on, Microsoft single sign-on, username and password. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in with my Microsoft account real quick. So I'm going to get in here. And then what you're going to see is, think about Neat being bold, right? This is not going to be your traditional grid-based dashboard. This is going to be it's very UX driven. And I'm going to walk you through kind of the three main points within here. So top left corner is going to be our menu. So right here, I've got the ability to take a look at devices. So these are going to be all the devices that I enroll. I then have profiles. Profiles, if we think back to our last video where we talked about ZDM and Microsoft Teams Admin Center or TAC, are kind of our high-level platform management platforms. Neat Pulse here, this is our complementary management platform to TAC or ZDM. So here within profiles, I could come in here. I could take a look at my demo center. Here's where I can actually pick what preview or software update channel our devices should be on, right? Stables, the regular one, previews, early access into releases that we're pushing out. I could share device analytics with Neat. I can change my screen standby. I can tell it how I want the system settings displayed, light mode, dark mode. I can set the screen brightness, time and language. And then we've also got some other features that we're bringing to market here around Bluetooth. So once I'm set that, I can go ahead and save it. And then I can keep going back through the list. So I could come in here, I could add my users. I could tell them actually what type of user they are, if they're an owner or an admin, and what they're an owner of admin as. So I can see here one of my colleagues, Bart Jan, he's an admin, but only for the Netherlands location. So how do I define that? Real simple, right here in the top, I'm going to go to settings, and right here, I've got my company overview information for my Neat Pulse tenant. So again, I can master set this to do device analytics if I wanted. I can build the regions. Again, this is awesome for those global organizations. I can go ahead and I can define that. And then within those regions, I can actually define locations. And then as I'm adding devices to Neat Pulse, I can assign them to those locations, go back to the users and restrict those users only to be able to manage those devices. So very, very easy. And then we also have our audit log. So this is going to give you that visibility into what happened to my device. I'm sure you know, Danny, you walk into the conference room in the morning and you're like, what happened overnight? And we're all looking for the answer. Here's your answer. Go into the audit logs. You can export these logs and pull them up if you wanted to into any other management tools that will do that. But I'm going to jump back to devices because this is probably one of the coolest things. So right here, by default, this is going to be kind of your landing page to take a look at Neat Pulse. Okay, so right here, top right corner, I have a filters icon, and I notice the red light. We're all guilty of it, right? We look at our phones, we see all the notifications. That's how I interact with anything that I have. So right here, I can take a quick peek and see what's the status of the device. Is it in a call? Has it not been enrolled to Neat Pulse yet? Is it offline? So maybe I say, I want to go look at what's offline. And then as we said, here's all my regions. So let's go look at the US and let's go look at Chicago. And now I've been able to drill in and actually be able to see, our Chicago Demo Center Neat Bar Pro and the Neat Board are offline. So could very well be that the folks in the office are doing maintenance or rebooting it. I at least now know what potentially could be a headache for me during the day. So Real cool way of drilling right into what needs to happen. But then everything up here is also search driven, right? So I'm going to pick on my devices here. I'm going to go ahead and click on the actual room information, not the device. What you'll notice here is this is where we will have an enrollment code, which is what you'll put in on the Neat device to enroll it into Pulse. But I also have the ability to add notes. Pretty cool feature here, because as I'm doing this, I will have that ability to add notes, maybe information around how the device is deployed, right? So I have mounted on the wall and it's a wireless deployment. I also then have this capability where I have, what's the state of it? It's not in a call, so it's idle. How many people are in the room? What's the temperature, humidity, VOC, and CO2 levels of that device in the room? Keep in mind, this is our Neat Sense data, right? That's now pulling into Pulse, regardless if it's running Zoom or Microsoft Teams. As I go down here, here's where I have the devices that make up this room profile. So if I did pair a controller to it, I would see that, and I'll show you another room. But this is also where I can define what profile that we built before gets assigned to this room, which is pretty cool. Now, what's real nice is we've got a couple additional features here. But what I'm going to do is actually click on the Neat board itself. So now I can dig into it even further. So now I can easily see the serial number. I've got the IP address. But then now if I come down here, I can take a look at it because I haven't assigned it a profile, and I can make individual changes, how I want it to get the upgrades. One of the coolest things, I think, is the ability to do this real time. So if I'm adjusting the screen brightness, for instance, right behind me on my board now just went incredibly dim. As I increase the brightness there, now the board, you'll notice that the board screen is actually going to get much, much brighter. And I can do the same thing with the system settings. I can also go in and I can change the time and language information if I wanted to, very easily by clicking in here and driving into whatever I want. And these changes will get pushed to the board real time right behind me. Okay. But now let's say, for instance, we're having an issue with the device. What do? Well, we've got two things real quick. Right here, I can initiate a reboot of our Neat board, right? What's the most common troubleshooting tip that you can give anybody? Give it a reboot. So Here we go. There's the restart right over my shoulder here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing just real quick. You guys can watch here as the Neat board comes up. Now, what's awesome about this, and because all our devices are Android based, it's a quick reboot process, right? So this is going to happen incredibly quick. We'll see the Neat firmware actually start to load. As soon as that loads, we'll see the Teams application load up on it. And then this device will be back up and functional. And then I'll show you probably one of the coolest things that we're going to bring to market with Neat Pulse. And this has really been the buzz, which is, okay, that's great. I can configure everything. I can do the remote restart, but I kind of want to see what's going on in the room itself, right? And we talked about that on that first video we did.
Yep.
So what we're bringing to market with Neat Pulse is the ability to do a remote control of the board itself. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click on this remote control button. Now, when that happens today, so we're still working through that, it's going to put a little prompt on my board. I'm going to go ahead and accept it. And then now here's my board interface that I have full remote control. So if I wanted to, somebody said, hey, Brian, I'm calling in. I don't know how to start the whiteboard. No problem. I just click the whiteboard button here, remote. What you're going to notice is that right behind me, it's going to launch, and then it's going to do the screen refreshes. Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
So when you think about trying to do that remote support into like an executive boardroom, this is huge, right? And just for the sake of this, since now we're back on full screen here, we talked about it, but just real quick, I will just go in here. And again, if I was to adjust the brightness on my board, watch this dim right behind me. You can see that almost went dark. Now, as I'm making the adjustment in the sliders within Pulse, now it's already pushed that update down to the device. So really, we're putting that power into the fingertips, and more to come here as we get through, our targeted launch date here is spring of 2023.
No, that's awesome. And so I also noticed there was a little section there that said add snapshot. And from what I understood, that's a picture of the room, because sometimes it's difficult to gauge and understand what the end
Exactly.
users are experiencing. So it's great to have a physical image of the space so that you as an IT manager can remotely look at that. Oh, okay, I can see why. Here's the Neat bar, or here's a Neat board, and here are the various devices, and where they're located and situated within that space is also really important for someone to look at. I can't wait for this to roll out to everyone, to give everyone a much greater capability in terms of managing the rooms, especially in today's hybrid work world where folks are everywhere, and they're utilizing their meeting spaces more than ever, not just to sit there and have a meeting, but to actually collaborate with folks in the room and those participating remotely. So, all right, so folks, there you go. A fantastic demonstration of Neat Pulse. If you want to have a deeper dive into that, all our contact information is going to be in the description box below, or in the comments, or in the post, wherever you're consuming this content. So you can reach out to us and we can schedule that demo with a Neat specialist. And if you have anything else at all, please comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.